Preparing to live stream the meeting. Okay. We're live.
All right. Welcome everyone to another edition of Permanent Solutions to Problems with the Name Madrid. I'm co-hosting, I'm Fernando Lopez, and I'm very excited today because today we're going to do, I believe, a recap of what Ane has taught in the last, say, 5 weeks or so, and perhaps a new lesson. So Ane, welcome. Thank you for teaching. How are you? And what have you got for us today?
I'll give you one guess about how I am.
Exactly. I think I know what that is.
Yes, in the premium seat, happy, blissful. I will screen share with you guys so we can go through what we've shared and worked on in the past. Can you see that? Oh,
Yes.
yep. I'll just share the slideshow here. Premium seat, the first lesson, how can there be suffering? We briefly talked about that as an introduction. The second lesson was the meditation that we actually base all of the next lessons off, which is the piece that passes understanding. Session 3, we spoke briefly about where the attendees were at, and they were really courageous and vulnerable and shared what's going on in their lives. And then we had a short meditation on how to remain in this premium seat that we learned about. Lesson 4 was what is non-duality or self-inquiry. We spoke a little bit about that. And we also learned about an analogy that we use, which was the analogy called before buildings were built. We share a lot of analogies here because it's really just people coming to listen to stories, and they help themselves by gaining insights through listening. That's really what's going on here. During that session, we also spoke a little bit about how the premium seat relates to goals and expectations. Lesson 5 was, is there a thing as choice? That was really interesting. And we found that the choice takes place between two thoughts. Session 6 and 7, we've explored deep sleep, the dream state, and the waking state. And today, we're going to cover awareness and objects. So last week, at the end of the session, we spoke about, an attendee, Zach, looked at a picture frame. And so I brought a picture frame with me today because this is an object that we can self-inquire into. So let's go right ahead. And then, oh, how do I go back? That one there. Okay, so here we always check. We're checking our actual experience. So the first question would be, are you aware? And I think all three of us, just nod if you're aware. Yeah, cool. All right, so we're all aware. Now, how do we know we are aware? How do we know that? Because in most cases, I can demonstrate, people may say, I know I'm aware because I'm aware of this picture frame. I'm aware of, and they might mention an object. I'm aware of the room where I'm in, or something like that. So we may say, I see this room with all these things. I see this phone, as I've just, you can take any object. I see this cup. You're drinking from a coffee cup. I always carry I love coffee. So the world seems to be filled with a whole bunch of thousands of different objects. And we think that we are experiencing these objects. I'm experiencing the room, the phone, the cup, the picture frame. Am I aware of a picture frame? or the object that you've chosen, like an external thing that seems external to what you may identify as external to my flesh? Or am I aware of my perception? So we can pause here, all of us, just for a second and go within and really check our own experience. Am I experiencing the object that I've chosen, the room, a picture frame, or am I experiencing my perception?
I'd say perception.
Good. Cheddar. Okay, perception. That's good. So if you are aware of your perception and not actually the object itself, how do you know that the perception that you are aware of is a perception of an object, the object that you've chosen? How do I know that the perception that I'm aware of is a perception of a picture frame? I don't. We don't know. If we take a long enough pause, and if you want to watch this video again and pause this video at this point and actually sit there and consciously contemplate about this, take your time. We find that we don't know. So we can only say, I'm aware of my perception. We can't legitimately say, I'm aware of my perception of an object, because we have never experienced that object. And I made a note here, perceptions differ as well. There's no solidity. We can't look to these things to offer us eternal bliss, because perceptions differ. One person may look at this and say, oh, I love that, what a cute dog. And then another person might say, oh, I don't like those dogs. My child got bitten by one of those dogs. They're not great. So it's the world of duality. So let's check now. Our whole life, if we identify and we go back to that first meditation, the person sitting in the middle row in the cinema that's identified with the body and all its thoughts and feelings, perceptions and sensations, plus the fact of being aware, that character sitting in the middle row, who does not yet maybe know about the premium seat option available, the permanent solution that is available, that character's whole life has been an experience of perception. That's it. And thoughts and perception. That's our whole life. So go to the next slide. Let's continue our actual experience. So now we can say, I'm aware of my perception, or we can say, I'm aware of knowing my perception. Now, do you, I'm going to ask this question to me, do I ever find something called perception in the absence of knowing it? Now, I think we've touched on this before in previous sessions. We can't actually have, and if you're coming across this video for the first time, just stop it here and pause and consciously contemplate, can I have a perception without knowing that I'm perceiving? No. Can I have a perception or perceive in the absence of knowing it? No. So the next step, now, are you sure that you are knowing your perception, or are you knowing the knowing of it? So let's stop here and pause again and check. What is there to your perception other than the knowing of it? Anything. What is there in the room other than knowing that you are perceiving? Now we're going to say, and look, let's try touch the stuff that perception's made of. So I'm just experiencing my perception, or the knowing that I'm perceiving. That's it. So we've gotten to the point now where we're not actually experiencing objects. But take it for yourself as well. Not experiencing objects anymore. Oh my gosh, these sessions promise relief from anxiety. So now let's look at how this actually works. We're going to try to touch the stuff that perception's made of. Do you find anything other than the knowing of it or the awareness? If we deeply, consciously contemplate, we can't find anything else to what we have called our whole life other than the knowing of perceiving. So try have a perception without the awareness of it. We can't. Are you sure there is something called perception independent of awareness? No. I can say to myself no, and again stop the video and pause if you watch this after. I can't experience anything independent or outside of knowing. So we go again to perception. And for some, you might know this. You might be experiencing this and taking your stand as the premium seat. If not, we go again. Is there anything there? If we can touch the stuff that perception's made of, I'm no longer experiencing an external world. I'm now experiencing my perception. It seems more to me like a mental experience now. Like my whole life is now a mental experience rather than something physical almost. Is there anything there if we touch the stuff that my perception's made out of? Is there something there? And I can stop and pause. The only thing there is, if we take it gently and slowly and meditate on this and contemplate, the only thing there is experience. And the only thing there is to any experience is the knowing of it. So to conclude, not only is it possible for awareness to experience itself, so not only is it possible for us to experience this state in the premium seat where we're blissful and restful all the time, in the absence of objects, the premium seat is in the absence of any thought that might be bothering us. Even during the apparent presence of objects, awareness is only experiencing itself. So we can be in this premium seat, and even in the apparent situations that seem to stress us out or seem to cause trouble, we can still be restful in this place because we're only made out of that. Our whole life is actually made out of that. And we can live from that state and do life, no matter what it looks like, because we're only experiencing, we go a step back and say, okay, I'm not actually experiencing this person who's really mean to me. I'm no longer playing that game. I'm actually experiencing my state of mind, my perception. Now I can take full responsibility. Now, what are my perceptions made out of? Oh, that's right. The premium seats, this restful, beautiful place. And then I can approach life that way and act from that place. And we may actually find, and I have found this in my own experience exploring this, that I'm able to love anyone and everything I was able to, in my experience, no longer judge, even if someone from someone else's point of view were like, oh, you know, that person's really mean, or don't talk to them, or whatever. Take it for your own situation, whatever challenging circumstances there may be. You can actually love everything, be at peace under all circumstances, which is why this is, you know, the permanent solution. There, in traditional methods, when we go seek someone to help us, and I'm not saying this is right or wrong at all, it's just the way the world has been. The person will see a therapist, for example, and the therapist will then try help the person from the point of view of that character and its problems. So what we're really doing here is saying, your character has no problems. The person in the middle row is just, you know, muddled up, it seems, with the premium seat and a whole bunch of stuff, and is acting. But once we only live from the premium seat, we can consciously act. So anyway, I'll go back to the slide. Physicists and scientists have been searching for matter, a physical world made out of stuff. They've been searching for a physical world outside of the knowing for 2,500 years, and it's not there. We can't have a physical world made up without knowing. Knowing is the most essential part. If we're actually deep and quiet, that's what we're all actually experiencing. But we can believe other things, you know, there's nothing wrong with anything. The only substance present in our experience is the knowing of it. And it's always one, and it's always whole. So what we are aware of, you know, some may say, well, I am aware of a picture frame. What we are aware of, I said another example here, I'm aware of the chair that I'm sitting in, you know, we can say that. But now we know that whatever we say is a concept added by thought. So again, from the premium seat, any thought can come and go and visit us, whether it's a good thought, a bad thought, a good situation, a bad situation, or a neutral one. But it's no longer affecting us in the same way. We're no longer an effect of it. So yeah, life becomes literally incredible when we live from the state. I also made a note here that, you know, we can say that we're experiencing an object, again, still, because we have to come back down to, you know, to the relative world. We can still say to someone, to our friend, oh, look, don't you think this picture frame is so nice? I like the colors and these things. For the sake of communication, you know, because not everyone will be at this place of living from the premium seat, you know, so we can't be too abstract all the time. Now that we're learning this, we don't go to dinner and sit at a table and go, I don't actually know how to ask for the salt and pepper because I know there is no salt and pepper, you know. We still ground and use the words of the objects. It's fine. The only difference is now we're starting to experience a different reality within. And what happens is that this is the beauty of it all. This is how it's spread, it seems, or extended, and makes the world a beautiful place, whether you're at work or socializing with friends or whatever. Because people will start to notice, why are you always so happy? What are you doing? Like, even in difficult circumstances, like you're just so calm. Like, and then you can say, well, you know, I've learned this interesting way, and it's actually become my experience, and now I'm living from it. And people will start also maybe to explore deeper. And naturally, we all want to experience the state if we did a big survey of the whole of humanity and asked them all, what is the most important thing that you would want? I think if we deeply get in touch with ourselves, everyone wants to be happy. But this happiness is here now. We just need to sort of get out of our minds. And that happens naturally when we come across these stories or sessions like these, or read a book about non-duality and such. So I'll just quickly go back to the slides, and we're nearly done. So yes, now from this point on, whatever we say, we know. Whatever object there is, it's just a concept added by thought. Oh, what is the time? Maybe I can go into this next week. There's another analogy. Am I nearly done?
It's about 27 minutes after the hour.
Okay. I wonder. Yeah, I'll maybe leave this analogy for next week. I'll just quickly talk about it now. We've got about 3 minutes left. The dream state analogy. This would be a good analogy to understand how we got to experience what we're experiencing and understand it deeper. Let me just stop screen sharing. So yeah, Michael falls asleep at night. Michael's mind conceptualizes Joseph, a dream figure. Now, that's what happened to us, it seems. If we deeply self-inquire, what we really were was this premium seat first, and then our mind tricked us into thinking that we're limited, and then we started having all sorts of troubles in life, problems. So when we dream at night, when we dream at night, and we can go away and contemplate on this if you wish, until we come back together next week. When we dream, our mind has to contract itself and become finite in order to experience a dream. There has to be a character, there has to be an object to be able to then look out and experience a dream world. And so next week, we're going to explore what is that dream world actually made out of. It relates to what we were talking about tonight. That dream world, the entire dream we have, is actually made up out of the dreamer. The dreamer's mind. So this whole world might just be made up out of consciousness itself, our mind.
Boom. What a mic drop. What a way to end a session.
Yeah.
Ane, thank you so much. Today's session was so deep, in a different way than other sessions. The concept, the realization that that thinking is what actually, that the perception is what we perceive, is what we think. It's not the thing itself. We're not experiencing the thing. We're perceiving our thinking of it, our knowing of it, but not the thing, which is a great distinction. I recommend anyone watching, listening to listen to this again. I know I will, because I need it. And come back next week for lesson number 9, where Ane is going to be teaching about the dream state. And get ready to embark on a new level of perception, of knowing, and how to use it in your daily lives so that your personal lives, your business lives, your decisions are better and more aligned with your life purpose. So thank you, Ane. Any final words?
Beautifully said. You speak so beautiful. Thank you, Chetta, for joining, and I look forward to next week. Yeah, and stay in that premium seat.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you. Namaste.